Last week, I jumped on here talking about how when you have a bad week, you just got to cop it sometimes. It's not the end of the world. You'll bounce back next week. I was in the big camp last week with the big score, 1,000 plus, but this week was my turn to take that message on. Absolute shocker for my team. Didn't get it done. Lost Angus Crichton, Jaden Campbell, Harry Grant, and Dave Fafita, who was a planned trade in. So it was a rough week for my team with about 930 points, and it's now my turn to be patient. Welcome back, guys. We're talking about round 7 recap for NRL Fantasy. I'll go through all the games, talk about my initial thoughts on these guys, talk about what we should be looking at in the future. And one of the big questions here is going to be Jaden Campbell, 4 to 5 weeks. Who do we replace him with at this point? Like, who are we looking at wing fullback? Because it's a disaster. You know, Kellen Ponga's out of form too. There are some pretty good wing fullbacks to charge into as well. So I'll get into those as we roll through this list. Now, first up, Tigers v Eels. And a lot of you guys jumped on Terrell May as captain. It was about 75% of top teams. He pumped out a huge score. This guy is just in spectacular form in real life. It's translating to fantasy as well. He's an absolute weapon of a player. He'll get up past 900K. Scored 83 points in this game. A very simple try off Happy Coruscant there. That definitely boosted his score. If he didn't have that try there, you might have been looking at something more like a high 60s score instead, which would have been relatively par as well. So still a great day for him. 83 points. You got the try, line break, 42 tackles, only 2 misses there, 3 offloads, 4 tackle breaks, and 133 run meters. He was fantastic and played 80 minutes in this game too. So just a huge game from Terrell May, a massive effort in a losing team. Dream Buller next. He had a good day out as well. 8 tackle breaks, 2 line breaks, try, 65 points. It's not something I'm really reading into, but at the same time, 445K, if he played in round 12, we could talk about it. He doesn't play round 12, so I don't think it's worth a speculative ad. Addo Carr with a good day out there as well. Tuavidi's one that's interesting. So Tuavidi, 230K, played 34 minutes in this game, scored that try out of dummy half there, which definitely boosted his score. But generally speaking, he's looking like a young front rower who is feeling more and more at home in this Parramatta side. So take a shot at him. I don't mind it. I mean, it's just a bit strange. Like, we've got Hopgood here as well, who's played 38 minutes in this game. So the middle forward rotations at Parramatta are a bit confusing to me. Moretti in particular too, he looks really good for Parramatta. So I'm not sure about Tuavidi's minutes, but if this is any reflection at near base price, you could definitely take a shot at him. We'll look at him in more detail this week. Mitch Moses came back, had a good day out in real life. 51 points in fantasy isn't crazy. He's not the Terrell May GOAT status there, but I'll tell you what, he played good in real life. He looked awesome for Parramatta. The stats were fine. Could be a pod you look at. The issue is that he's playing so well in real life. I mean, it's only one game, but he's playing so well that he probably is in the origin picture. I would say it's Nathan Cleary and Mitch Moses are the halves for the Blues. Probably one of the best halves pairings in recent history. Actually, I've probably got to say it. Probably one of the best halves pairings since those GOAT Queensland teams that, one had that dynasty. Can't disrespect them, but Cleary and Moses could be absolutely elite together. Jermaine Hopgood, 38 minutes, it's a disaster. So his stats were fine. He scored 48 points, but 38 minutes is not good. And if you've got Hopgood, you're probably looking at selling now. Like, 38 minutes just isn't good enough, but he does play that round 12. So you might have bigger problems to deal with. You could stick with him. Like, he's playing good. The role and the minutes are really, really dicey. So we'll look into that as well, but I'd be open to selling him. Simonson, I'm not really reading into it too much, but he's playing great to start the year. Tuolangi there back as well. Had the try there. Could be someone who's interesting, but 46 with a try isn't super inspiring. Dylan Brown with Moses back. He did look good. 200 meters run in this game. Just really rare, like no attacking stats, pretty much for the line break. So Dylan Brown, if you want to take a shot at a specky pod, I don't mind him at all. I think Moses back actually benefits him because of how well Parramatta is playing. And down the list here, nothing super noteworthy. Seyfarth saved his score with a 39 there. Yongi, a 38 with 2 tries is... I mean, look, I love Yongi as a Para fan, but 38 with 2 tries is pretty low. It's sort of Jesse Arthur's kind of scoring. So if you're a Yongi owner, you would have watched that game and thought, oh yeah, he's on for 50 plus, and then he scored the 38. So it's a tough one to swallow there. I guess you got the sin bin in it, so the sin bin does take off 10 minutes of play and then minus 7 points. So that would bump him to 45, maybe 50 points there. But for Yongi, if you've got him, you stick with him. If you don't buy him. Luai, bit of a better game from him, score-wise, 37 points. He is dropping cash at an astronomical rate. Big thing for him here is 43 meters run. So he's just not really doing what is going to get him fantasy points. He's down about 120K so far. If I saw him running the ball again, I'd definitely think about buying Luai, but 43 meters isn't enough. 1 tackle break. That's the kind of stuff that we need Luai to be doing to be relevant in fantasy. Adam Dewey, I'm switching back to Dewey for pronunciation. That's what everyone on the commentary team is saying. So sorry, a few of you guys who do want me to pronounce it Dwayne. I believe it's Dewey. I'm just going to stick with it. For him, look, 184 kick meters felt a bit low. He was kicking a lot during this game. 90 run meters there. He was taking the ball up a bit, a couple of tackle breaks, not a big defensive work rate. Had the goals there. Had a few moments where he was looking like bursting through the line, but just didn't quite have that step of speed. Maybe he's just getting used to things back in the halves there. Maybe he's kind of lost that with the injuries he's had as well. I don't know. As a Dewey buyer myself, the 37 points, look, 484K for a guy who can average 60 in that role was very attractive. This was sort of on the bottom end of how he can play. At that price, if you've got a guy who's scoring maybe just under 40 there and then has those boom games as well, it is what I purchased, but he just needed to convert a couple of those attacking plays into a couple of offloads there, maybe a try on that near break he ran really close to the line. There's a few plays where he could have popped this score up. So as a Dewey owner, I'm not taking this one as a win at all. But if he gets named again next week, I will enter the week optimistic and he'll be in my 17. But it does look like this might be a failed pod. I won't call it too early, but it could be a bit risky for us here. Then Lalili is in there. Twile, Riley Smith kicked a goal in this game, but again, it's 36 tackles, 31 points. Just the accumulator isn't really there for him. So he's making cash slowly and steadily. So we're happy with it, but he's not a guy I'm putting in my 17. Down the list here, Moretti played well in real life, but didn't get the score. Only 34 minutes, pretty low. Stafford Toa saved his game right at the end there. A couple of clutch offloads. Had some good plays, but 27 points, a bit disappointing. Dewey really wasn't feeding him much ball at all. So Lockie Galvin was definitely the one feeding Stafford Toa, and it's a big loss not having Galvin in the team for Toa. So I would downgrade him to, sort of a 35 to 40 average in your head instead of that 50 average we've seen so far. Taruva really got destroyed by Adokar today. Adokar just absolutely outclassed him in this game. And I'll tell you what, it probably puts Adokar into the picture for potentially being considered for Origin. Now, the likely options there, Lomax is injured. Brian Toll is obviously the guy. But then, Karaz is probably the next option up. Adokar's been there before. He's done the job. It could be anything there. And look, Taruva, I think he after the week he had, he was probably looking for a big game, and he definitely got schooled in this one. Walker, Finu, Russell, you're down the list here. I'm not going to talk about here. I mean, Penasini is getting cheap. I always say this every week, but 19 points, bit of a disaster for him. He's going to get really cheap and be an option I'll look at some point. And Kautonga, 13 points in 80 minutes is absolutely rancid. So what we got here is 21 tackles, 4 missed tackles. So you're down to about 13 points aggregate there. 51 meters run, that bumps him up to 18. And then you have the 2 penalties and the 1 set restart, which bumps him down to 13 points. If you got him, it just wasn't his day. No tackle breaks, no offloads, very low meters run. Ball didn't go his way. It all went sort of Kelma Talangi edge. So for Kautonga, we sort of did highlight this. He has these games in his bag, and in reserve grade, he averaged about 35. He had those big pop games like last week, and he had those quiet games as well. So this was something that we did expect from him at some point, but I thought in this matchup he might do better against the Tigers, especially considering Parramatta scored 20 points. It just didn't go his way. So if you got Kautonga, you stick with him another week and you probably roll through with him. But again, not trustworthy as a scorer, is he? So let's roll through the next game here. And that last game it always gets a bit longer. I'll go quicker with the rest of these games, guys. We'll charge through. Greg Marzu, I say that, and then we jump to the Knights, which is so talkable. But Greg Marzu's here, 86 points. If you held Marzu, congratulations to you. You absolutely crushed it. Had a try in this game, try assist, 2 line breaks. The 16 tackle breaks for 32 points is astronomical. That is absolutely huge. 228 run meters here, as well as 3 offloads. Marzu with 86 points is definitely a repayment of the faith for those of you who kept him. And if you did, enjoy that ride. If you don't have Marzu, I wouldn't be going and chasing him right now. But if you do have him, hold for round 12. Like at this stage of the year, if a guy plays round 12, you probably stick with him. It's very similar with like a Tamale. With the injuries we had, I sort of just thought, all right, I'm going to keep Tamale. But for Greg Marzu, you stick with him at this stage. And at wing fullback, it is a bit dire. I mean, if you did want to jump on, you could as a buy. It's just the Knights attack, I don't believe in it right now, so I wouldn't be buying myself. Then Pierce Paul down the list, 74 points here, so really strong. I had the try assist there. The 5 offloads there. 130 meters run, 42 tackles. This was a great game from Pierce Paul, and I'll tell you what, he could be a pod you look at as well. I don't hate that at all. Fletcher Sharp had the 60-point game. He had the try there, but it wasn't a huge points try. 6 tackle breaks, 170 run meters, and the defensive work rate. So he's pumping out, about 25 tackles a game, not a lot of misses as well. So defensive work rate has been fantastic for Sharp. Again, when we're looking at those wing fullbacks, I think that Sharp is one that we should be seriously considering. And I get that you're a bit late to the party. He's made some cash already, but he looks fantastic. And even when Newcastle are struggling in attack, he's getting his hands on the ball a bunch. My worry is that they do, have an issue with their attack, and they may change the structure at some point. He may get less ball. Like there may be some sort of change like that. That would be a tough one to swallow because Newcastle, like, they're in that situation where they're going to change things. And for him, it's probably not the best thing because he's getting heaps of volume in this attack right now. So I'm a big Fletcher Sharp fan, but you're not getting a discount there at all. Brayley, solid. Nico Hines, I thought Nico was really good in this game until the missed tackles just kept on creeping up. And much like my Harry Grant and my, Cam Munster picks, like just going for those sort of premium guys in real life, Nico Hines, 56 points. He lost 14 points from missed tackles. Now, Nico isn't that kind of player usually. So in the first 6 weeks of the year, he had 8 missed tackles total, right? So he was looking at about 1.3 missed tackles a game. This jumped up to 7 this week. It's my missed tackle curse, unfortunately. I've just got those guys who love to miss tackles, apparently. But for Hines, without that, he's in the 60s, maybe a 70, right? And you're feeling fine. So I think this was a fine game from him. Had only the try assist as well. So the attacking stats just need to sort of keep creeping up. And he had a few moments where he looked good, but he's just not playing as physically as he used to play. That's kind of what I'm finding when I watch it. Like it feels like he's not quite playing at 100%, not believing he can burst through the line the way he used to. So that's something I'll watch for. But through the origin period, I think Hines is a great option for you to ride with. Like he's going to be in the low 700s there. It's a good price for a guy who can go on a run and average 60 plus. But this 56, it was fine. It could have been better. I was hoping for a lot more, but it still went okay. Oregon Kaufusi grabbed a try. Matt Croker, I wouldn't read into him. His role will diminish. Thomas Cant, interesting to see what happens this week. So he had the 50 tackles and really no attacking plays. So no offloads, no tackle breaks, 58 run meters. If they're trying to improve their attack, then Cant is probably the guy that gets moved out of the edge back row spot because Kai Pierce-Ball has been fantastic. So it'll be Dylan Lucas coming back either next week or the week after. Cant is a chance at taking the lock spot potentially. So if you have him, you stick with him. But just keep an eye on him is my key advice there. Leo Thompson played bigger minutes here, 65 minutes, but only the 48 points. Had a few missed tackles, just didn't have the tackle breaks, so it didn't balance out for him. Herodi, obviously the 50 as well, but I think he'll lose that spot pretty soon to Kale Iro. Best was better this week too. It's a bounce up to a 47. And rolling down the list here, McInnes a bit disappointing. Nakora. Fanua Blake had the try. He was on 32 points after his first stint, only ended up in 43. Didn't get a lot of minutes. So 43 minutes, that's the issue there. That groin issue is what kept him out of our buy list last week. And I'll be waiting for him to sort of overcome that completely before I buy him. But I will say, Fanua Blake at the right price. So looking at potentially, the high 600s kind of area. Just before the origin period, I'll be jumping on Fanua Blake, I reckon. Like that's my expectation that I'll be getting Fanua Blake before origin. Down the list here, we've got, Wilton Jones, Ponga. So I can talk about Ponga here. I'll go into him in a bit more depth this week as well in the hold section or the sells. But for him, 173 run meters, that's good involvement there. The 2 tackle breaks, the 2 offloads. So these are stats that are fine here. Then you've got the 5 missed tackles is brutal as a fullback, and the 2 errors, they do that knock down the points a bit. But attacking stats, again, non-existent. So he had the try saver, he had a goal, but no attacking stats. It's been a long time for Ponga since we've had those. So he hasn't had a line break since round 1. Right? Like he's really struggling in terms of that attack and that running game. And I'm seeing him doing a lot of those midfield chip kicks and all that kind of thing. I don't know. I just think he needs to go back to that fullback role. Just play fullback. they're trying to do too much in Newcastle right now with their halves pairing, and they're on their 3rd new halves pairing of the last 3 weeks. Stick with Gamble. Get him in first receiver a bunch more. Get Ponga playing wide on one edge. Sharp on the other edge. Get them combining every now and then. But it's just this crazy strategy they've got where Ponga's just not seen as a ball runner in this team. And I don't know, everything's sort of a bit out of whack there. So as if you're a Ponga owner, you're sort of in too deep now. Like I'd be thinking hold, but you're not happy about it. It's just the tough thing is the wing fullback spot is not convincing in general. So if I had Ponga, I'd hold him for sure. But I think that the fixtures coming up as well, they're quite good too for Ponga. So I'd stick with him myself, but we'll go into this in more depth in hold or sell this week. Down the list here, Ramian, Frizzell, Trindle, kind of mediocre. Brayley, there was that injury to Phoenix Crossland, but he came back after a while. So Brayley would have been on our radars if there was an injury, but without that, he's not. Schiller, McEwen, Hazelton, down the list here. Gagai, a bit quiet for him too. He's losing a lot of cash. Dan Gagai could be an option we look at some point. And then, Mulatalo getting cheaper to Rudolph Talakai. Down the bottom, Atkinson at some point, if there was an injury, could be very interesting as well, but not until that point. All right, speeding up here, Titans and the Raiders. And for the Raiders here, we got Hudson Young, massive game, 81 points. He had the 2 tries in this game. Big defensive work rate there. Well, not that big, but 27 tackles with 1 miss is pretty solid there. 184 run meters, the 5 tackle breaks. He is the form back rower of the comp right now. His average right now is a 64.4. That is the highest second rower average in the game. It's just ahead of Toby Couchman, just ahead. So for Huddy Young, mate, if you've got him, enjoy the ride. He's been fantastic. If you don't have him, do not buy him now. He is too expensive, and he'll play Origin for sure. Like the way he's playing, he's definitely in the Origin team. Hudson Young is arguably the best back rower in the comp on form this year. So, yeah, I couldn't jump on him now. But he was on our pod list about 3 weeks ago as a recommendation. So if you want other people, ABM, shout out to you. A few other guys too jumped on Hudson Young at that point. And yeah, you crushed it. Tino, 60 points, plays Origin, no interest from me. Fogarty with a 57, he's safe as houses, just keeps on rolling. So you bought that, you get that. 8 run meters is kind of funny. He really is just that steering 7, and he's just rock solid for 50 to 60 points a week. Tamale bounce back game. So he had the try in this game, received a pass from Ethan Strange, which I was stoked to see. I was forced to keep Tamale. I was thinking about selling him potentially last week, tossing and turning about it. He plays round 12, though, which was really firming him up as a hold for me. And then I had all the injuries come through anyway, and I was just like, all right, well, I've got to stick with Tamale at this point. So I kept Tamale, played him, got the 55 points instead of Jaden Campbell's score. The 8 tackle breaks is encouraging, and the 217 run meters is encouraging too. He was getting his hands on the ball a lot more, and the attack was a little less greedy on the inside. Not completely ungreedy, but a little less greedy. So Tamale did get a bit of ball in attack, which was nice. Corey Horsburgh, 54 points in 48 minutes. This is a disaster waiting to happen for us. These minutes have not been good over the last few weeks, but he's been pumping out more than 1 ppm. So we're kind of ignoring it at this stage. At some point, though, he's going to hurt us. And we've got too many issues right now to be selling Horsburgh, but I'd just be keeping an eye on him as someone that you will sell at some point. Now, he has done his job. He's made 113K so far. So if you started with him, you did a great job. He's killed it. Just be ready to sell. I think, too, he's playing well in real life. So he's probably going to be a prospect for the Origin team, too. So Corey Horsburgh, keep an eye on him. Hold for now, but watch and see. Bo Firma, I'd be buying him 100% this week after that 50-point game if he wasn't nearly a certainty for Origin. That's the issue, right? He's one of the best back rowers in Queensland. So, and Jeremiah Nanai has been really struggling this year. So I think Bo Firma is going to be the guy for Queensland. If he gets picked for Origin, it's a bit too late to be getting him. You get 4 weeks before the Origin period, and then you start up there. But he has gotten nice and cheap. So if you want a pod, Bo Firma is not the worst option. Matty Nicholson played 80 minutes with Hosking backs. We talked about that this week a lot, and how Matty Nicholson was a firm hold just to see what happened. I've got to be honest, I was saying hold. I wasn't expecting 80 minutes. I'm actually surprised by that, but that's why you hold, right? To give yourself the chance to see what happens, and to give yourself the chance of that upside. Now, with Matty Nicholson, he plays round 12 as well. So round 12 is a big focus for a lot of us. And yeah, with him, he's going to be fantastic. He won't play Origin, all that sort of jazz. The 50 points is fine. It's not inspiring, but it's absolutely fine. And the 80 minutes is super encouraging for him there. It's also a 50-point game with no tackle breaks, no attacking stats, no offloads, like just pure defense. And yeah, 35 meters run, very, very low for them here. Ethan Strange, 46 points, had the try assist, all that sort of jazz. He's bounced back a bit. He was one we were watching a bit, but he just didn't quite get cheap enough for me to jump on. So he's that ship has sailed, guys. Definitely don't jump on him. Seb Chris grabbed the try as well. Verrills is in here with some good minutes, 74 minutes there, 43 points. In a draft league is interesting because he did miss that game. He might be on your waivers, but other than that, not jumping on. Wodawaka, 40. Tarpanay with 38. And this is where Joey Tarpanay is one that I've just been a bit shy about recommending. He has these lower minute games in him, and that's the issue, right? Between 45 and 60 minutes is what he plays. This was a 49-minute game for 38 points. It was an okay game. 25 tackles, only 3 missed there. 2 tackle breaks, 1 offload, 130 meters run, no attacking stats really. Like that's what he can do as well. So you can score those, gentle 40-point games to go with the bigger ones. If you got Tarpanay, roll with him. Like, stick with him. He's absolutely fine. But if you don't have Tarpanay, he's one of those guys that, I try to look at just before Origin more than anything. And hopefully he can get a bit cheaper for us. But that break even is rolling right now, so he may not. But Tarpanay is one who, if you have him, you stick with him. If you don't, just wait and see if he gets a bit cheaper before Origin. Smithies, solid. De Groot, bounce back game, I will say, for De Groot. 200 meters run. And look, I've been sort of saying that I don't see it, in terms of what he's been doing recently, but he's been getting better and better every week. Those minutes have been, not minutes, sorry, the meters have been increasing. 200 plus meters in this game. He looked quick in this game too. He looked explosive. Had the line breaks there as well. Like, yeah, De Groot's looking good. So if you got De Groot, you stick with him 100%. The fact that Jaden Campbell is out now as well for 45 weeks, 4 to 5 weeks, that definitely helps De Groot on his job security there too. So De Groot owners, enjoy yourself. If you don't own him, I still wouldn't be targeting him, but he's looking better and better every week. RCG is getting really cheap as well. Starling, 35 points. The minutes are sort of going in the wrong direction there. Really quiet game from him. AJ Brimson scored 34 with a try and a try assist, which is pretty rough if you're an AJ Brimson owner. He had more kick meters, but not enough to really sort of make a dent in the score there. So not a great game, but the signs are good for him in general. He's playing good footy. Down the list here, we've got, Weaver came in, kind of meh. Hosking played 40 minutes for 29 points. Hosking will get cheap. This is good. And at some point, we may look at Hosking, but not anytime soon. KO Wicks, again, just getting cheaper and cheaper. And down the bottom of the list here, is there anyone want to talk about? Owen Paddy, 20 points in 25 minutes is okay. Tomoko with 11. Now, Tomoko could be someone who gets cheap and we look at 100%, but man, that's a rough one. Look at that stat line there. The 6 tackles with 2 missed tackles, sort of neutralizing that. 93 run meters, just not a lot going on for Tomoko this week. And Xavier Savage as well, 5 points for him. He's one that I've been watching, and he just is so volatile. Like, you want a few low scores in a row so he can get nice and cheap, but until that happens, we really just can't recommend him. Then Roosters and the Panthers here next. So for the Panthers, Nathan Cleary, 93 points for him. This was a return to greatness for a guy who has been doubted a bit this year. Like, just transparently, he's been disrespected and doubted. And this 93-point game only takes his average to a 56.8, right? So that really speaks to, how much of a struggle this year has been. And sure, that average is impacted by that game where he played 8 minutes. But for Nathan Cleary, this was a real sort of, putting his stamp of authority on things kind of game. Because this is 93 points with no attacking stats. So 7 goals there, of course, but no tries, try assists, any of that stuff. You only had the 2 tackle breaks there as well. 22 tackles, the 3 offloads, 2 forced turnovers, 100 meters run, and all the kick meters there, 659. So Nathan Cleary, it's crazy to look at, because this is a game where Penrith scored 40 points. He didn't have an attacking stat. If you throw on maybe a try and a try assist, which wouldn't have been unreasonable to expect in this game, you're looking at 120 points. And we're having a whole different conversation at that point. So, yeah, you've got to consider Nathan Cleary as a captain option going forward. He definitely has to be a captain option for you week in, week out after a score like that. It is hard to recommend him, though, over Payne Haas and Terrell May, who have just been doing unbelievable things. Dylan Edwards bounced back here, 74 points, had the try, a couple of try assists as well. 238 run meters with 9 tackle breaks. Like, that's 41 points by itself there. So Dylan Edwards doing Dylan Edwards things. He's the favorite to make the Origin team, so you can't buy him at this point. But if Tedesco has picked over him for some reason, you might look at Edwards. Connor Watson, he was a hold for us this week, and I'm glad he turned up for you guys who did hold him. 63 points. I've never owned Watson, but I'm jealous of those who do, because I think he's an absolute weapon. For him, it's the try assist there, 53 tackles with only 1 miss there, 61 meters gained, no offloads, and no tackle breaks, 60 plus. That's what Connor Watson can do for you. Isaiah Yeo, the 61, he had that try assist, which was a kick. So Yeo put the second kick in, the grubber. That was a beautiful play from him. 39 tackles with no misses there, no tackle breaks, no offloads, 177 meters run. So again, you're looking at a 60-point game with no tackle breaks, no offloads. Like, that's crazy stuff for Yeo and Watson. Really, really good to see. Alamotti bounced back game after a quiet one last week. Nafahu White, again, the big beneficiary of big injuries at the Roosters. So Nat Butcher went down 10 minutes into this game. He was out of the game almost immediately. And Nafahu White has definitely absorbed some of those minutes and pumped out a great score and a big performance here. 57 points in 65 minutes. Look, you just can't doubt White at this point. And there's a reason why he was one of our holds last week. Someone we recommended holding on to. He is an absolute weapon of a player. He's going to be great through the origin period. I was a non-believer earlier in the year, but you know what? I've sat down and just said, you know what? The Roosters are going to have an injury every week, and White's going to sort of keep absorbing bigger minutes because yeah, that 50-minute role puts him in the 40s as a scorer. But when he can get these 65-minute games in, he can just pump out huge numbers. So yeah, for Nafahu White, Nat Butcher out, Angus Crichton out as well. Big beneficiary was him. He killed it for you guys. Nwani Tawase is one that we were super hyped about as well for this week in terms of scoring, but the job security is dicey going forward. So yeah, he cooked. He cooked. He was on a huge score at halftime up against Luke Garner, and they made some changes. Garner was ruled out, so Tungo came in. I felt like Tungo kind of contained Nwanga after he came on as well. But for him, it's the 4 offloads for 16 points there. Not a lot of run meters, but nice set of tackle breaks. No missed tackles there as well, which definitely helps in the try assist. 56 points. There's talk this week that Billy Smith will definitely come back in, and there's talk going around that Dom Young will get dropped and Nwani Tuase will go to the wing. Now, it feels pretty speculative to me. It's one of those sources where I don't really fully believe it. Like I want to see it sort of happen before I jump on. But there's a chance that he does move to the wing where I think he'd be super effective. So yeah, look, if you got him, you stick with him at this point, see what happens. And if he's named this week, you keep him. If he's dropped this week, I would sell him at that point. Lindsay Smith, 52 points, 52 minutes, pretty boring, but he's getting it done. Sil Wong, 44 points. He was flying early in this game. He was on like 40 after 50 minutes. Really didn't score much after that. But again, he's playing 80 minutes, so that's super encouraging if you got Sil Wong as well. Then Dan Supo, Rob Toya. Toya grabbed the try in this game. Didn't really have the best base stats, but try boosted him up with 41 points. Down the list here, Henry's been quiet to start the year. I thought Liam Henry would do a lot more this year, but 31 minutes, 35 points. Maybe through the origin period, he might be interesting, but not for now. Casey McLean, still not throwing those passes to our boy Jenkins, who's right down the bottom of the list, which is not good. Savala is an interesting one. So this stat line, by the way, is almost identical. So I'm going to work through it with you. This week he had 24 tackles. Last week he had 24 tackles. This week he had 3 missed tackles. Last week he had 3 missed tackles. This week he had 22 meters run. Last week he had 24 meters run. And this week he had 502 kick meters. Last week he had 478. Now, it's basically identical. He tacked on a couple of extra points there, but for him, it was a 33 last week. It's a 35 this week. It feels pretty safe, him scoring around that 30 point. He's 230K. He's someone we'll look at this week, but I want to see a little bit of that upside, that ceiling, because the 20-odd meters run a game and no attacking stats, no offloads, tackle breaks, any of that stuff, that's the tough thing to swallow as a Savala owner if you do get on, but I'll probably be getting on this week. Just that base price is pretty attractive. But I think the break even won't be that low, so you don't have to do it this week. Then Shannon Smith, solid enough from him, 33. You could sell him pretty soon, I would say. 33 is, on the back of a pretty big defensive work rate from him this week. Down the list here, Papali'i grabbed the try, but only 31 points. He's wasted in that prop role. I'm going to keep saying it. Isaac Tungo, when he was named on the bench, I thought, oh, he could get even cheaper here because he's dropped 112K already. He's 388K. He came back on. He played well. So in half a game of footy, 120 meters run, 3 tackle breaks, no defensive mistakes there, 10 tackles, 28 points there. Isaac Tungo is someone that I will consider in coming weeks, and I'll think about it because he's the kind of guy who can get hot, but I probably want to see him get hot before I do jump on. But Isaac Tungo is someone I've got my eyes on. But again, I talk about him a bit because he's got that pedigree where he used to average 50 points and he could do it again, but I just haven't seen it enough to jump on. So I didn't jump on last year or this year, but at some point I might. Spencer Lenu, 26 and 47 minutes. His role has been really inconsistent this year, and the scores haven't been great either. He'll make Origin as well. Tedesco, 22 points. So we were talking about Teddy a bit. The reason I've been sort of shy on Tedesco is, and I've sort of said this a bit, he's had to play such good footy individually to drag himself to a good average in fantasy. So he was averaging around that 50 point. It's dropped down to a 46.6 now. But for Tedesco, it's 22 points. I know the meters dropped off a bit. So instead of 200 plus, it was 119. The tackle breaks dropped off. You had the 4 tackle breaks, which is still pretty good, but didn't have the attacking stats. And for Tedesco, we're at round 8 coming up this week, and he's got no tries to his name. So that kind of speaks to the fact that he's not getting a lot of ball. He's not getting those opportunities to score tries because he's playing good footy himself, but They're not putting him in positions where he can score those tries that he normally does. So for Tedesco, I'm not super keen on Teddy. I think there's a really bad combination here in that he's not getting that quality ball from the inside. The attack at the Roosters is struggling. And also, he individually is playing so good that he's putting a bit of pressure on that Blues #1 jersey. There's every chance that if Dylan Edwards was to be quiet over the next month of footy, Tedesco would take that Blues jersey. But there's no guarantee of that. It's just something that I'm keeping an eye on. And you throw in the fact that, he has these lower games in him and he's not really having those boom, huge games because the attack isn't that good at the Roosters right now. So maybe Sam Walker returning will help. Maybe at that point I'll look at Teddy, but for now I'm not really that keen. Nearly 700K. He'll get a bit cheaper now. Maybe if he gets to 600K, I might do it, but that would be only if he's confirmed not to be making the Origin side. He also has a buy in round 10 as well, so keep an eye on that. Then Blaze, Jenkins. Yeah, Jenkins really quiet, 83 meters run, so the work rate wasn't there this week. Had a few offloads, but yeah, just a tough one. Not getting a lot of ball, and this was a lower work rate game from him, so he might be someone who caps out at some point soon. Then down the bottom here, Nat Butcher, 9 minutes, 6 points. He'll drop some cash, and at some point he might be interesting again, but for now, probably not someone I'm targeting. But I guess through Origin, we're going to be missing Gus Crichton at the Roosters, so maybe he'll be an interesting guy there. Payne Haas up next with the Broncos v. the Warriors, and the Warriors got the win up the wires. Tell you what, after last week when they lost Fisher Harris, they lost Nickel Clockstad, they lost Berry as well, they lost a few guys, they got smashed by the Storm. They came into this week and people weren't backing them. They rocked up and they beat the Broncos. So I thought the Broncos would get up in this game. I was pretty confident, but up the Warriors, man. They proved everyone wrong back against the wall. Now, for this game, Payne Haas, 73 points. This is a very impressive 73, I might add. So no attacking stats here. 31 tackles, the 5 tackle breaks, the 3 offloads, 219 meters run. Just pure sheer force of will from Payne Haas in this game. No negatives at all. But the lack of attacking stats there is the thing. So if you add a try onto this, right, he jumps up to 90 points and it's a completely different conversation. But yeah, for Payne Haas, good game. Good game. Like 61 minutes. That was a good one from him. He was outshone by the other captain options, but I will say he was really good. And he's someone who should still be considered every week, even though the recent form hasn't been that good. Paddy Carrigan played 80 plus minutes in this game. So, sorry. Yeah. So for Paddy Carrigan, 66 points. Look, that's Pat Carrigan doing Pat Carrigan things. He'll make the Origin team, so no interest for me in fantasy. Katoni Staggs has been up and down and all over the place, so again, not interesting to me. But the 11 tackle breaks is pretty hot, and he's a guy who can pop off and hit form. Just hasn't really done it consistently across his career. Jackson Ford absorbed a lot of minutes at prop, and there's a lot of talk about who was going to get those minutes. The answer was Ford. So 66 minutes for him, 55 points. He's 584K. Could be an option we look at. Definitely could be an option we look at. The risk here is that Halasima will go back to the bench with Capewell on the edge back row spot, potentially. I would expect, but Halasima was good, by the way. But that could happen there, and then the minutes pressure is on Ford a bit in that spot. So I'm intrigued by Ford. And if you're starting at prop, the issue is it's going to be a while before he gets that middle forward capability. So probably not someone I'm going to target. It's around 14 where you get that middle forward spot. So that's probably too late. But Ford is someone that you can keep an eye on and have a look at if you do want to jump on. Halasima had the try. It was a great try from him. He looked awesome in real life. The 54 points for the try and 70 minutes I'd played is solid enough. That's pretty good. But the real life form was fantastic. And I think they'd be silly not to be starting him at some point. Like, I'd be starting him personally in this team. I think it's a bit crazy that they've gone and signed that guy from the UK. I don't know much about him, but apparently a back rower. So, like, what's the future like for Halasima? Is it someone else who makes way instead? But yeah, I'd be starting Halasima and then moving Niokore into the middle forward rotation because he's a bruiser anyway. You can go and do that. And Halasima on the edge is super classy. Aaron Clark here, 53 points, 60 minutes is what I'm encouraged by though. So last week he had only like 45 minutes with 60 points. This week the score is lower, the minutes are higher. The minutes are kind of what I care about, being transparent. So yeah, Aaron Clark is a great option this week. Definitely a target to buy. I wanted to get him this week. I just couldn't quite make the money work. But yeah, for Aaron Clark, I'll be targeting him this week, I would say. The hooker in particular capability for round 12 is nice, but just have a look at who you have at hooker at that point. You might have to use him at mid instead. But a lot of the good mids play Origin anyway. So Aaron Clark's a great option to target this week. The stats were good too. 30 odd tackles, 160 run meters, offload, tackle breaks, that kind of thing. Then down the list here, Egan was solid. Didn't play 80 minutes though, a bit concerning. Barnett played 60, but only 49 points. Barnett's not been the same guy this year and is still a chance of playing Origin as well. Then Reynolds was okay. Metcalf had the try as well, which kind of saved his score a bit, but bulk kick meters here too. 46 points, you can live with that. Chanel Harris-Tavita kept on rolling as well. Tuapiki, Hetherington was better. Corey Pakes, a bit of talk that Ben Hunt will go back to hooker to start potentially. There's a bit of that chat around. I don't really believe it, but Corey Pakes, the minutes are going in the wrong direction. So if you're a Pakes owner, now's the time to sell. Get off the train. He is done and dusted, I would say, for fantasy. Then down the list here, we've got Valmarga. For him, 34 minutes is not the best. You're hoping for sort of 40 plus at the 30 points. So that's fine as a cash out, 277K. He does play round 12 as well. So you're not super depressed, but you're not super stoked either. But at that price, you can kind of live with it. Shibasaki kept quiet here. 6 tackle breaks, but just didn't have the attacking stats. Kate well played at center in this game. Then Walters, Walsh. I'm going to talk about Walsh. So for Reece Walsh, the 47 meters run is indicative of the fact that he had a PCL injury. So the back part of your knee, basically, at the start of this game. Bit of a knee clash. For him, he's out 4 to 6 weeks. So he played out the game with that injury, which is pretty impressive, I'm going to say. But for him, he moved to the wing for a bit. Like there was just a lot of problems for him. Had the try and the try assist. So I think when you look at that, if you bought Walsh, he was playing on one leg and he had a try and try assist. It speaks to the fact that you got the analysis right. Like you picked well. The attacking opportunities were there, but the injury just absolutely screwed you. So you're going to have to sell him at 4 to 6 weeks. I think it's a sell. But I have chatted to a few people who are looking at holding him as well. I just think at this stage you sell him and lick your wounds, recoup your losses, and sort of move on. If you held Walsh all this time, I'm sorry for you there. It's a tough one because you made the right call, I think, like logically to hold him. He was objectively a guy who will bounce back, and he's still a target for me when he comes back in. But you just copped a lot of bad luck, so I'm sorry to you there. Then Smithies, Hunt, Ben Hunt, man, he's getting so cheap. He's lost 200K already. 13 run meters for Ben Hunt is not good. Like if you're Ben Hunt and you're playing that creative 6 role, you've got to be running the ball, right? Because Adam Reynolds is doing all the 7 stuff, all the steering. Maybe Ben Hunt goes to hooker. Maybe that's how they make this work. It's not working super well at the moment. Jesse Arthur's had the try, 21 points. It's a classic Jesse Arthur's game. Good player in real life, just not a fantasy guy. Then down the bottom of the list here, Selwyn Cobbo, 8 points, really quiet. Cobbo might move to the fullback spot. So he's getting cheap. Plays sort of 4 to 6 weeks at fullback. You could think about this. Like you could definitely think about this. And you can give it 1 week as well because he's going to drop a bunch of cash. He'll have a high break even. But Cobbo's a pod that you could definitely look at as well. And then Leia Tower, 8 points. I know a lot of people started with him at the start of the year. Hopefully you got off Leia Tower in time for this one. Then Dolphins and the Storm up next, and we're into the Friday games now. So for Dolphins and Storm, Herbie Farmworth, 75 points. And this is another guy we can look at this week. So Herbie hasn't scored below 50 the entire year. Grabbed a try in this game. That boosted the score up a bit, but not heaps, right? So for him, 160 run meters, the 3 offloads, 10 tackle breaks, 20 tackles. Like defensive work rate's good. The attacking work rate is elite, unmatched. So Herbie Farmworth at center is the best pure center in fantasy. Now, you're going to pay a big price, right? You're going to pay a lot of money for him. It'll be, 775K, something like that. So he's very expensive, but if you want a top center, I don't hate this one. I'm not going to be prioritizing Herbie, I would say, for my team. But at the same time, if you want to pod up, he is a big pod, and he's someone that you can think about as a captain in certain weeks as well, but probably not someone that I would look at captaining. I think you just want to stick with those main guys. So Cleary, Haas, Terrell May. Isaiah Katoa, big game from him, and a lot of you guys jumped on Katoa. He's been good. He's been good. Like in real life, he's so good. And again, he's a guy that a lot of people doubted at the start, and you can see a very clear, like from fantasy perspective, especially, you can see this clear progression from year 1 to year 2 to year 3. And year 1, we all had him, and he was not quite the guy that you expect from, the big profile signing and that kind of thing. And the stats weren't great. Year 2, he was better. He made a big leap. And year 3, he's just made this completely different leap. And he's averaging nearly 55 points here. So for Isaiah Katoa, it's strength to strength here. You can pot up and jump on. I went Nico Hines. There's about a 60K price difference between the two of them. I think Hines has a higher ceiling than Katoa does. But Katoa has been rock solid, super consistent. And he is that main half for them, doing all the kicking and sort of carrying the team. So if you like Katoa, I like Katoa too. You can jump on. Ryan Pappenhausen, better game from him. there's a bit of risk that he's in the Origin picture somewhere, but probably not likely. For him, much more involved in this game. So you can see the stat line; it's very full across the board. 166 run meters, the forced error, the 2 offloads, the 5 tackle breaks, the line break, the try saver, the goals. Like this is a great one from Pappenhausen, and I would say that Meany will take the goal kicking back when he comes back. So Pappenhausen probably not a guy I'd be targeting, but if you jumped on before, he's a nice one. And if you do like him enough, you can jump on as well. I just personally wouldn't be jumping on a bit rocks and diamonds for me. Then we got Stone, Blore. Yeah, Blore's been better the last couple of weeks. He's bounced back a bit. Kerr, Lero, both stocks down there in the 40s. Jerome Hughes scored a flat 40 here, played 80 minutes, which is good. 64 run meters with only 239 kick meters is a bit low in terms of the work rate. No tackle breaks, no offloads. I'll be waiting for him to come good completely. But even playing, with one arm, like he's got that shoulder issue, it looks like it's bothering him still. He had the 2 try assists. Like he's an all-class player. Like Jerome Hughes he was the Dally M Player of the Year last year for a reason. He is 100% going to be in my team when Origin starts. It's just a case of when you jump on, and you just got to give him his time to drop his cash, get solid again, reduce the risk of re-injury, and then you jump on him at 550k or whatever it is, and you've got yourself a banging bargain. It's Okamanu. The minutes haven't been good enough, and the PPM slowed right down this week, which is what we were worried about. So yeah, just wait on him. If you can get the minutes up to sort of 55 to 60, he's awesome. But at that 49 point, it's not enough. Asako, crazy. Osaka, they win this. They put like 50 points on. Osaka doesn't have any attacking stats. You never see that, but 38 points is okay. Cam Munster, tough one here to swallow. He had the 5 missed tackles again, so just missing a lot of tackles. Really not kicking the ball. 50 run meters in this game too. Like it just was a bit of a plotty sort of game from Munster. And I was watching this, and like, I've got no doubts about Munster's ability and his prestige in the game, and he's an absolute beast. But with about 20 minutes to go, I'm looking at this and I'm seeing the Dolphins are up by a couple of scores. I remember saying in the live chat in our Discord, if Munster doesn't step up here and sort of take the reins, then he never will. Like it's sort of done for him in terms of fantasy production. And he didn't really he had a few nice runs in there, and a few tackle breaks, that kind of thing, but it wasn't the old Munster where you sort of see him put the team on his back. So I'm kind of giving up at this point. I was trying to sell him last week before I had 47 injuries into my team, but I'll be selling him for sure this week. I'm a non-believer now. Yeah, I think it's done for Cam in terms of fantasy production. He's playing great footy in real life, but he's just not that physical sort of volume guy they used to be. And the Storm are winning games, right? So they don't have to change their strategy. Like they're winning well. And even in this game, they started hot, they cooled off, and they got destroyed in the end. But they're playing good footy, so they're not going to change things that much. I wouldn't expect. I don't know. Like it hurts me because I think the week I sell him, he'll score like 80 points. Like I just have that feeling. And so if you have him, maybe just wait for me to sell him and then hold on. But I'm kind of giving up at this point on Cam Munster. Then down the list here, Hammer, good stat line across the board, but the 86 meters run was not good enough. So 36 points there. Garlic stepped in for Harry Grant, 34 points in 51 minutes. I think his average at hooker, I looked at it, I think it was like 31 in 50. No, sorry, it was 27 in 51 minutes or something like that. Like not inspiring at all. So not an option I'm looking at all. Then, Coates is down there with a try. Lemuelu keeps scoring tries off the bench. I wish he was a starter, eh? Like he's an absolute beast in fantasy when he does get that start. Down the list here, King, quiet. Gilbert, 28 points again. Sell him. Wishart, 27 points, keeps his price a little bit high, but he'll be an option we look at some point. Safidi has really cooled off after a hot start. So I guess I don't feel as bad about missing out on Safidi now that he's kind of gone back to normal. Eli Katoa, tough one if you're a Katoa owner. 25 points in 80 minutes. Had the 6 missed tackles and the 2 errors. That's minus 16 there. 151 run meters is encouraging, but that's really the only positive you can find here. So if you've got Katoa, and you probably stick with him. Like this is just a low game. He's still pumping out a 50 average, but you're not super stoked about it. If you're a Katoa owner, you're definitely not excited. Then Jack Howarth, he went down with an injury in this game, 14 points in 17 minutes. He started well and just, that stopped the day for him. So if you're a Howarth owner, I think this is officially the moment where you sell. And Max Plath, 11 points in 15 minutes, went down with an injury as well. Plantar fasciitis, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. But it's just a foot issue. There's talk that it could be anything from no timeout to, a month or whatever it is. So it's a tough one for Plath because as a player, like he's pushing for that origin spot. And I think he might have been in the Origin team at this stage. Like, he's just so versatile. You can play hooker, you can play lock. You don't have to carry him as a utility. So if you can have him in your team, you can afford to be a bit more creative with that other utility role because he's a genuine lock. So for Maxi Plath, yeah, hopefully he's back soon. Just as a footy player, I like watching him play. But for fantasy, that 11 points is going to drop his price a bit. It's just tough when Gilbert's playing in the team because the minutes aren't that good. So I'm not super interested, but I am keeping an eye on him because we know what he can do. Then Doggies towed up the Rabbitohs. So the Dogs are undefeated this year. They've had injuries, they've had challenges to overcome, and they've just kept on pumping out big games. And defensively, they are unstoppable. 32-0 on the back of Max King with a big 86-point game for fantasy. I got to say, I said this week, and I'm here. I'm here to own my mistakes as well because I nail a lot of calls, but I've got a few this week that weren't that good. Max King was one who I said, "Oh, I don't love the ceiling on him. I think that the minutes will decrease when Josh Curran goes back into the prop rotation, and I think his ceiling isn't high enough." Now, Max King hadn't scored a try in a billion years, and he scored a try in this game. There was a major injury there as well to who was it who got hurt? Todd broke his arm 15 minutes in, so that definitely reduced some minutes on him, and I think that bumped up King's minutes a bit too. So a few things sort of went wrong there. I still kind of am of the view though that for Max King, I think those minutes are going to float down to sort of 50 odd minutes, and then you're relying on a big PPM there. So you're relying on, I mean, his average right now is 59 points. You're relying on a 1.2 PPM to sort of pump out that average. That's where I get a bit concerned about Max King. You know, they're not going to lose guys to Origin. The lock spot is pretty locked up there with Kurt Mann and Jamin Salmon eating up those minutes. So that's my concern on King. But this game here, I will say, I'm going to give you guys a victory lap here. If you did jump on King, bravo to you because you nailed it. You had the try saver, the line break, the 34 tackles, 3 tackle breaks, no missed tackles, 2 offloads, 1 error only, and 232 meters run. So look, he's crushed it. And if he does play 60 minutes every week, then he probably is a 60 average, right? So if you think he's going to play 60 odd a week, then he's probably a must have. But I don't know about this Dogs rotation. That's kind of where I sit on this. I'll look into this more deeply as the week comes. But I owned Max King last year, and there were just these periods of time where he's sort of playing lower minutes and averaging, 45 points. And I worry that happens again. That's my concern, right? And maybe I'm a little bit scarred, but I kind of view him a bit like Jack DeBellin in a similar way, where if they get the minutes, they crush. And King's probably a better PPM guy than DeBellin, but they can just randomly sort of lose minutes at different times. So that's my concern. But then he's playing great footy, so maybe he's earned those minutes, maybe keeps them going. But then I guess if he's playing so well, he might make the Origin team. Probably not. He's probably not in the Origin picture. But you know what I mean. There's a few bits of this that I don't love. But then Dogs play every bye round. I'm kind of spiraling here. I'll look into King more, and King will be in the video this week by Hold Sell. We'll talk about him probably as a pod, I would say. His ownership is quite low, 1.3%. So he'll be in the pod section. We'll talk about him for sure. I'll lay out all the pros and cons, and you can make your own call on Max King. If you bought this week, again, congrats to you. Jacob Preston, just under 70 points here, had the try, 41 tackles with no misses, 110 run meters. This is just a really solid game from him. If you take out the try in this game, he's still looking at, 50 plus there. So, yeah, Preston's going well. That average is just under 60 points. So Preston is killing. I bought Preston this week, and I'm pretty happy about it. I don't think he's in the Origin picture, by the way. I think the fact that Hudson Young's playing so well means Hudson Young will be in the team, Liam Martin will be in the team, Angus Crichton will be in the team. That's 3 edge back rowers. You could maybe say that Liam Martin is a middle forward if you wanted to, but I don't think you would. So for mine, Preston probably doesn't get in. Olakawatu is also around there. Preston's in better form in real life, but Olakawatu's been there before and done some big things in the past as well. So you couldn't guarantee Preston a spot. I just don't think he'll be in the Origin side unless there are injuries. So I think you can buy Preston pretty happily right now. And yeah, he's pumping out some big numbers here. And as long as he plays 80 minutes, that's a big thing. But I don't think he's going to lose minutes this year. Josh Curran had the try there. 45 minutes is not a lot for him. I think those minutes might increase in future weeks, but in this game, it was quite a low minute game, so I'm not super interested in him. Toby Sexton turned up, kept going. Look, Matty Burton wasn't 100% in this game. I would say he played well, but he didn't look fully 100%. So Sexton did take a lot of those kicks. 61 points is great, but not someone I'm targeting. Karaz, another pod to talk about, and this stat line is so appealing. It is so appealing. And the fact that the wing fullback spot has degraded so significantly, Karaz is now sort of shooting up the rankings here as a big pod. He was on our pod list last week, I believe. From memory, he was on our pod list last week. He was definitely discussed last week. I wasn't fully convinced, and I'll lay out the positives and the negatives here. So for Carraz, the try assist is great, right? The 4 tackles is whatever, 5 tackle breaks and 4 offloads. That's where you're making your money with Carraz, right? So that's 26 points just there. You throw in 229 run meters. He's averaging about 200 a year, 200 a week this year. So you got another 20 points there. So on tackle breaks, offloads, run meters, you're looking at sort of 48 points. And you've got a few extras for attacking stats, a few minuses. That's red hot. Like that's red hot. And he's been pumping out these sorts of numbers. Dogs are on top. He's dual position at center and wing fullback. He is awesome. The downside here is if you're the Blues and you've got no Zach Lomax for game 1, Carraz is the favorite to win that spot. And I challenge you to throw any other names at me that you think you're going to compete for it. Because look, Dan Tupou, he's a bit out of that range, I think, age-wise. Like he's playing good footy, but he's probably not going to be in the picture. Josh Addo-Carr had a cracker of a game today against Tigers. So Addo-Carr could be in the picture, but I mentioned that in the chat and everyone kind of laughed at me. So maybe Addo-Carr isn't in the picture, but I reckon Addo-Carr could be a guy they pick. But I would say Carraz is the guy, right? So if Carraz is fit and playing this well and Dogs are winning like this, go Carraz. And suddenly you're looking at this back 3 and you've got Dylan Edwards, Jacob Carraz, and Brian To'o. And you're terrified of that because that's 3 guys who can pump out 300 meters on the day. The Blues will just be completely unstoppable at that point. Like they'll be starting their stats hot every single set. It's terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying. And Lomax can do that as well, but Carraz does it at a level that is unheard of. So I think he's in the Origin team. That's my concern. That's really my only concern with Carraz. Everything else is good. If you don't think he makes the Origin team, pick him up. But I think he will. That's my guess, and that's my concern. I also think that I don't know, like he doesn't get fed heaps of quality attacking ball and score a bunch of tries. So he has to go out and work for all his points. And that back injury does worry me a little bit. But again, if you're on the pod, you're on the pod. Go and do it. I just think the Origin risk is very high with Jacob Carraz. But then again, Lomax might be back sooner. So if you see news that Lomax is back sooner, like it's pretty close to game 1 that Lomax will be back, then you could make the case that Carraz doesn't get in. So up to you on Carraz. You got to decide whether you're willing to take the risk. Now, Marmazelis, 55 points, 54 tackles. That's a classic Marmazelis. 2 forced errors is really good from him. Look, he's playing good footy. This is a game where he just had to defend, and he did his job for us, so I love him for it. Matty Burton, 54 points, pumped out some big run meters here, nearly 200 run meters. Had the 4 tackle breaks there as well. 4 errors. He was trying to do a bit. They were playing some fun attacking footy. I'm not worried about that. And the kick meters are a bit lower. Again, him coming back from injury, Sexton sort of dominated those. I'd keep an eye on that because I wouldn't be buying Burton until those kick meters sort of bounce back to what we expect, which is sort of that 400 area. So for Matty Burton, as a fantasy prospect, again, I'm going to stick to this because the Dogs play every major buy round, so we have to talk about the Dogs, right? But Matty Burton, we'll talk about him this week. If I was picking the Blues side, he'd be in my Blues side. Now, he hasn't been picked in recent years. Generally, he's not picked. But my rationale here is you've got Matt Burton, right, who's a big body. So if you want to put him on at lock, you can. You can absolutely do that. He could rock up. He could play you 20 minutes at lock. He wouldn't let you down in defense. If you had an injury in the back line, you could chuck him at center. And he was the Dally M center of the year previously, right? We usually have Latrell at center anyway. So if we had an injury at fullback, Latrell could move back to the fullback spot. Burton go to center. We've got that covered. Injury on the wing, again, Latrell, you could play him on the wing, or Stephen Crichton could play on the wing as well. Like, you're absolutely fine there. So, and a halves injury, obviously, Matt Burton can play 7 and 6. So for mine, Matt Burton's the perfect bench utility. If you're running Connor Watson on that bench as well, then he covers hooker for you, and he can play in the middle forward spot too. You're absolutely fine. I would be running Matt Burton and Connor Watson on the bench, and then picking maybe an explosive back rower and then a prop as well. And, you run a 3-prop rotation. We've got guys like Payne Haas, Terrell May, who can play huge minutes. So I'd be having them in the team for sure. So Matty Burton, that's the risk from my perspective. I just think he's such a good player. He's so versatile. And those Burton bombs, by the way, if you're down by 6 points, you put a few of those up, who's going to stop it, right? So for mine, Burton's in the Origin picture. But if he doesn't make Origin, he's the must-have of the Origin period. So that's what I'm going to keep an eye on. It's, again, they're playing good footy, the Dogs. So I think their guys are going to get looked at for Origin. Burton is a risk. He's definitely a risk. But other than that, he's getting so cheap that you almost have to consider him a must-have in a couple of weeks' time. Then down the list here, Totola, Tracy, Kickout, I've been asked about a bit. I'm not super keen on Kickout personally as a scorer. I just think at that price, you're not getting heaps of value out of him. Duncan is in. So we saw obviously Hubner went down with the HIA. Duncan played bigger minutes. If you play these minutes every week, it'd be interesting. Stephen Crichton bouncing back, very cheap, plays Origin though, so you're probably not jumping on there. David Miley, a few people jumped on him at the start, and he's sort of turned it around with some big scores lately, but yeah, too little too late for Miley owners. Then down the list here, Reed Marnie played 55 minutes, which was kind of surprising to me. That price is just getting lower and lower. Bit of talk they're shopping him around, so maybe that comes true. Maybe go somewhere else. If he gets back to 80 minutes, he's very interesting. Matangi getting cheaper and cheaper here too. So again, if he gets cheap enough, I'll look at him, but not for now. Jai Gray, quiet game. I think the time for him at fullback is coming to a close. I would be shocked if Latrell's not back at fullback in the next couple of weeks. Then down the list here, Latrell had a quiet one. 421 kick meters is pretty good, but 88 run meters is a bit quiet there. The offload, a couple of tackle breaks. Played center a lot of this game as well and had a few nice moments, but the tough thing is you're only seeing Latrell sort of running at the line, looking like he's trying to be destructive a few times a game. That's the problem. And as an owner, I mean, the 31, like I can cop the 31 points. It's a game where they lost 32-0. Like they got absolutely pounded. So I can cop the score, but I kind of just want him to go back to fullback at this point. I'm hoping they do that. Their attack wasn't great this week, and I think they need him back at fullback. Down the list here, Hayward, Arrow, quiet. Whiten, really quiet this year. Campbell Graham getting cheaper as well. Campbell Graham might actually be an option at some point, by the way. If he goes back to center and he's gotten cheap enough, I'll be buying him. Hubner, it's only 1 week, I believe, for him. So 23 points in 19 minutes. He was absolutely pumping it. I'll probably keep Hubner, I would say. That's my guess right now. I'll keep him. He's pumping out some good scores. He's still got cash to make. He's only priced at like a 31. So I'd stick with him. Ewan Aitken, 13 points. He's going to get nice and cheap for us. Hopefully he goes back to the back row and plays edge for 80 minutes at some point. So eyes on him. Cody Walker, 12 points, 57 minutes went off. That hamstring was bothering him a little bit, but I think it was mostly precautionary. For him, Dodd came on. Dodd played that 23 minutes you can see there for 11 points. So kind of meh from him. He didn't really change the game too much, but it was a game where they were getting pounded, so I'm not going to blame him for that. For Cody Walker, though, he's 393K. He's just scored 12 points. He's going to get down to like 350K very soon. He'll be down to maybe 300K. Like, there's going to come a point where I do jump on Cody Walker. It's probably at below 300K. That's when I'll think about it, because he's a good footy player, but I guess he is getting a bit older. Maybe he's sort of a bit past it in terms of fantasy production, but man, at 280K or whatever it is, if you got down to that level, you'd be thinking about it for sure. And then the Seagulls and the Dragons, then I'll sum things up. So this is the Thursday night game. Then we'll sum things up after that. But for Toby Couchman, it was another day out. And you look at this stat line and nothing about it isn't replicatable at all. So you got 80 points here. You got the 80 points in 66 minutes. Like, the minutes are great. You had a line break, which was the one thing that was a bit, you could discount. But then everything else was repeatable. So 56 tackles with only one missed tackle, the one tackle break, the 2 offloads, and the 150 meters run. You can do that every week, right? So if you're a Toby Couchman only, you're loving life. And if you don't have Couchman, it's late. It's very late to be getting on, but he almost starts to feel like a must-have at this point. I wonder, though, when Gula comes back, does that impact Couchman much? I think the fact that he's playing so good in real life, it probably doesn't, but it's just something to be aware of there as well. Then down the list here, Hopewadi, 65 points, bit of a bounce back game from him, nearly 300 meters run, 7 tackle breaks. He just willed it. He willed it this week. It's too late for Hopewadi, though. Tommy Turbo will be back pretty soon. Jazz Tavanga with a random 61-point game. What is going on? What's going on? It's tough to read. For Jazz Tavanga, though, and we looked at him in the preseason. None of us jumped on, but he's lost 118K. He's now down to 294K. He played 70 minutes in this game, made 50 tackles, had 100 run meters, scored you 61. Middle and hooker coverage. I'm going to have to think about it, because their middle forward rotation is light. And obviously Jake Trbojevic went down early in this game. I'm going to have to think about it. Like, he's going to be in the cheapies list this week. We'll talk about him, because he has the pedigree previously, but he needs to play a bit of that time at lock in particular. That's the big thing for him. At hooker, it hasn't been good, but if he plays a bit of lock and does a few other things, then could be an option we look at. Definitely could be. Damien Cook, 60 points, 60 minutes. Rock solid from him, but just not getting the 80 minutes, so not on my radar. Ben Trbojevic grabbed a try. Good game from him, 57 points. If you're a Trbojevic owner, you're enjoying life right now. Dylan Egan, 70-plus minutes here, 50 points. Just base stats here. 48 tackles, 90 meters run. Nothing else except the 2 missed tackles. So that's solid from him. Dylan Egan, you start him every week basically at this point. Just keep on rolling, see what happens. Little Ilias around the area. DeBellin, only 50 minutes is the concern there. Then Flanagan, yeah, he's going all right. Lost a bit of cash before though. Takiyaho, I mean, Manly have some issues with their middle forwards right now. So a lot of guys are getting more minutes, but I don't think they're happy with like everything I'm seeing out of Manly. Is they're not super stoked with the production of the middle forwards, and that's where they're getting rolled right now. So they got to figure something out. Maybe Jazz Tavanga is the answer. Who knows? Then Olakawatu, 40 points. So again, for him, good involvement. The 24 tackles is a little bit on the low side, but 4 tackle breaks, 160 run meters. Had the 3 errors, and usually those errors from him are when he's trying to create a play. So they're a big turnaround where instead of an offload or a break or whatever, you get an error. Olakawatu, if you got him, it's a hard one to hold on to, isn't it? You're probably thinking about selling him, but if you don't have him like me, then you just watch the price drop, and if he doesn't make the Origin team, you have a real solid think about it around round 11, round 12. Then down the list here, or maybe round 13, we'll have to have a look at those fixtures. Val Holmes, solid 40. Sua, Suli, Kohler, Laurie, Cherry Evans, 38 points. Cherry Evans has been really quiet recently. Just rolling out a 50 average there for him. Had a few boom games, but a lot of quiet ones as well. Luke Brooks nearly scored the winner in this one, and then had it taken back, but 37 points is not anything to write home about at all. Ruben Garrick with a 32. I don't know. What do you do there? Like, it's the base stat sort of game. 10 tackles is quite low. 148 run meters is pretty good. Like, Garrick does his thing. Didn't have any attacking stats. I think you got to cop that sometimes. I wouldn't panic too much. They have a good buy schedule. So you're keeping Garrick for sure if you have him. Hamish Stewart played 11 minutes and scored 29 points, which is absolutely crazy. The PPM is off chops, but his minutes have just been dropping and dropping and dropping. If you have him still, you sell him this week 100%. Gutherson, a bit of a pod we talked about. He had that heroic score against Parramatta. This is a 24-point game. So, yeah, that's the full range of scores you can expect from Gutho. And then down the bottom of the list here, Tommy Talau, the legend. Obviously, the 20-point game is not reflective of the true talent of Tommy Talau, but at the moment, I can't recommend him as a buy. And down the bottom here, Drake Trebojevic, 8 points, 8 minutes. Could get cheap enough to consider at some point, but he was already sort of dropping cash and just not someone I'm super interested in. And then Falalo, only 9 minutes in this game for the 6 points. So again, you're a bit disappointed if you had him as a cheapie. Now, guys, that's a bit of a summary for this week. So just to recap, there's plenty of coaches who scored, around that 1,000-point mark. A lot of those coaches did that. I had a 930-point game this week. So for me, it was a bit of a quieter one. If you were lower scoring this week, if you're below 900, you had a really, really bad week. But if you're in the 900s and you dropped a bit of rank, I went from 700 to about 1900 this week. Then don't feel too bad. Like, it's just been a bit of a volatile couple of weeks. And on my side, I had a massive week last week and then had the quiet week this week. Like, a lot of coaches were quiet last week, massive this week. If you went big in both, you're bloody done well. But I wouldn't panic too much. Like, it's week to week. We're just past round 7. We have another 20 rounds to go. So nothing to panic about. Just start getting ready for round 12 is my big advice here. Start having a look at your team. Start thinking about, all right, how many players do I have in round 12? And remember, in those major buy rounds, you can only play one player per positional slot in those buy rounds. So you only get to play your starting 13. So if you already have a hooker in round 12, don't buy another pure hooker that plays round 12 because you'll only be able to start one of them, right? So keep that in mind with your buys because you want to try and fill out that 13 as best as you can for round 12. That's the big thing I'm looking for there. So those Doggies players in particular, Manly players are actually really exciting as well for the Origin period. And Roosters are really good too if they don't play Origin. So these are the types of players you want to look at. Definitely prioritize keeping them. Raiders as well. Just hold these guys in your team for a bit longer and see what they can do. Anyway, I'll see you guys on Buy, Hold, Sell and also Teamless Tuesday. Pimp my team, all those videos this week. Good luck. I'll see you there.